All right, Jason Gray, welcome back to the Jason Gray Show. Hope you're all doing well today. Will Ford and GM go bankrupt? That's sort of the question today. And so let's talk about how brave Ford was today. They had a conference call today. They talked about how they've sort of allocated their businesses out in three different sections. One is the EV platform, one is the heavy duty platform, and one is their car section. And what they're trying to do here is show where their money's going and where they're losing money and what they're doing going forward to be successful in the EV business. And I think we challenge General Motors to do the same thing and say, you know, so why don't you do a section these things out? Because what is becoming glaringly obvious is manufacturing these EVs is not cheap. And the margins that they were talking about on Ford through this conference call was that they were losing 40% on their purchases. So they're losing a 40% margin, a negative 40% on the sale of their cars. This is an average of $22,000 loss on them selling a car, which is a huge number. And those numbers were buried years in the past because they had bundled all together, and so you wouldn't have it sectioned out. So give Ford credit for exposing themselves and saying, we know we're failing in this section, but what can we do to improve ourselves? And it sort of gives testament to Tesla and Elon and his team of what they've done so far to hold these 20% margins that they've been holding. And it's shocking that you take a look at someone like Rivian and they lose $180,000 per car. We're talking Ford now losing $22,000 per car. You are in this price war in China right now, and that's a big struggle for everyone across the board. The Chinese auto industry forum that pretty much there's 1,600 names in this, because you got to remember there's all these different manufacturers that have not only the main manufacturers but the sub manufacturers behind there all sort of coming back and saying these price wars are not good for all of us. Everyone needs to sort of calm down a little bit. And you got to remember back to the Model T days. You know, there were 20, 30 manufacturers that were out there building cars back then, and then, you know, each one of them went bankrupt, right? The same thing is going to happen in China. They're going to go bankrupt. So let's talk about Ford and GM. So Ford, from what I'm thinking ahead here, is they have sort of consulted, I think, with Sandy Munro and their team and Munro Associates, and they're trying to simplify the way they're building their EVs. I think what they're trying to do is saying, okay, if we make these steps now, where can we be here by 2026 or 2027? We want to be building 2 million EVs, but at a profit of 8%. Now, remember, Tesla's running a profit right now at 20%. And of course, by that time, you know, Tesla's going to be selling 6 million cars by that time. So in doing so, it makes it glaringly obvious how far ahead Tesla is. But you got to give Ford credit for exposing themselves and saying, this is what we're dealing with. We know we got to get better and we have to get there. So give Ford credit. Now, will GM do the same thing, or will VW do the same thing, or, you know, whoever else that is that's going to start diving into this electric car business a little heavier? These losses that the big automakers are going to take during this transition are going to be ginormous. And, you know, do they create new factories, or do they take their existing, you know, factory lines and transition them over there? They've got a lot of hurdles to come across, and they weren't talking about anything other than just producing cars and trying to get those margins down. They're not talking about the software or the AI piece of this puzzle. They're just trying to get to a scale where they're losing money. So you have to walk back and take a look at Tesla when they were about the same level. So Ford right now sold 96,000 cars in 2022, and when Tesla was at that level, they were 105,000 cars at that level. The losses that Tesla was taking at the time were significant. Don't get me wrong. Scaling makes all the difference in the world, plus making cost efficiencies make it happen for Tesla. But that's what Ford is pretty much saying we're technically this far behind Tesla right now. We're 5 or 6 years behind. GM, we're 5 or 6 years behind, right? Volkswagen, we're that far behind. Toyota, same thing. So when people say they're going to catch up to Tesla, when are they going to catch up to Tesla? And you think that catch up to what this currently looks like now, not versus what it's going to look like in 7 years. Tesla's going to innovate more, cost cut, and they're going to do more and more stuff in-house just daily. And so you got to take a look at this big picture. Tesla's that far ahead. If GM does not pivot here very soon, I have a big short position on them. I think they're going to struggle. Now, if Ford makes this transition, how long does it take before Ford turns this corner and becomes profitable? That's probably a 3-year mark before they start turning into something. It's not an easy task, and you're asking these legacy automakers to make a lot of changes that they're not used to. And I was a little bit worried during Investor Day that Tesla was really giving away too much during Investor Day, talking about their drivetrain, talking about how they build cars. And if the legacy automakers are smart, they're going to look at the Investor Day and say, okay, we need to do this. And Tesla really didn't have to do what they did, because what they have said multiple times, we want more EVs. We want everyone to succeed, right? And so them releasing all their like tricks and what they are doing, they're trying to help out the auto industry, and they're trying to become more efficient and more profitable. And so give kudos to Ford for everything that they came out with today. Let's wish them success. Let's hold Jim Farley and the Ford CEO and their team converge this and makes some really good strides in this. I hope you like this video. Please give me your 2 cents, what you think is going to happen to Ford, GM, Tesla, and any one of the EOMs that's out there. So talk to you soon. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Bye-bye.